tying a knot with metal.
No, this
Right?
is just for temporary support.
Good, I'm feeling better. I'm worried about that, you know? Have my family inside a building and think they're being tied together with baling wire or
No,
something.
that's just all to hold it together until they get the concrete in place.
Okay. So this again, here's the form for folks to see, right?
That's right.
This is not permanent? No, this.
Those will come down as soon as they get the concrete in place.
So then this is where the cement's formed.
That's right.
I mean the concrete.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to hope by the end of the day I'm able to say the right term.
This portion of the deck is actually going to come back and be filled in later.
Okay. And it has the post-tension tendons?
It has the post-tension tendons in it. You can see the post-tension tendons actually. The tails of those guys sticking out right here.
Okay.
So you can see it. They look a little bit different. They're actually
It's a braided steel.
It's a braided steel strand. There's 7 wires.
Yep.
All wound together.
And that reinforces the tightening up of the concrete.
So what that does is you can think of it just like a rubber band that's running through the concrete. So we're actually standing on the 6th floor.
6th floor.
Yeah.
So we're 6 stories up right now, depending on all the interim structural supports. And there's the plumbing
That's
poles,
absolutely
right?
right.
Okay. So there's the 5th floor ending right there. Right?
That's actually the 6th floor. Yeah, we're standing on the level 6 slab. The 5th floor is below
Okay,
us.
right. So that's the 5th floor below us.
Right.
Okay.
So this section of the building pours, and then this, and they kind of take turns going back and forth.
Sure. It's in sequence. The concrete is actually now then being pumped up through this device.
That's right. So
And they're actually right now forming it over there into initial shape.
yeah. So what they have is they bring in the concrete on the trucks that we were looking at before. They've actually got a pump that's at the bottom of this crane.
Yep.
They pour the concrete into the pump it up the crane, and they drop it right out of this hose right here at the end of the crane. You can see.
Yeah.
We actually stipulate that they can't drop the concrete too far.
So over there to the left is yet to be poured cement area or concrete area.
That will be poured today.
And then what they've got is a progression here. And what they're doing, you're saying, is it's pretty much what we're doing in our sidewalk in our home or
That's
something. It's
exactly
just
what they're
spreading
doing.
it out. But yet now it's notable, if I'm correct, that the concrete
Yes.
that we're seeing formed here is going to have a layer over the top of it that seals it. It'll be pressed down from the top as well.
No, actually, you're looking at the finished surface of the concrete.
That's how it's going to stay?
That's how it's going to stay. Now
But
they
it's
will.
this is so refined. I look at this; it's so smooth.
They will come back and smooth this out. There's a sequence
Oh, okay.
to how they place the
Has
concrete.
to be done today.
Yeah, and what they do is they
Can I
do.
go down and do the usual, draw my initials in there? You know,
You
like I
can,
do on
but
a sidewalk?
I don't think they'll be too happy with it.
As we look at this, Ryan and Casey, this will be a support for the building.
This will be a column for the building, right? So there's a column below it, and this is just one of the columns going to continue going up.
And the concrete is formed inside and around it.
That's right. So there's going to be a jacket or a circular formwork. Actually, you can see it right behind you here. It's
Okay.
going to go on
Which
here.
is this guy. Okay. This is
You're gonna
made out of
place that-
fiberglass. And is that a permanent piece?
No, that will be pulled off.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are reused at every level.
Okay.
So you can see that they've got a way to tighten it down and
Sure.
then to
Oh, the
detighten it and
casting.
take it back on. Yeah, it's a formwork just like the
A formwork.
we're
Okay.
looking over there.
And so this little X pattern right inside of there, is that part of the structural
That's
support?
not part of the structural support. That's just for them as they're tying it together to keep it in the right shape until the concrete gets put in there.
And this will be strong enough to hold up a building.
Absolutely.
And are those welded at the top, back to back? What's the mechanical connection between the two when they're formed?
The only mechanical connection
Oh,
is,
they overlap.
is the wire. Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually splice, which is a fancy way of saying overlap the
Right.
rebar from one level to the next. So this
Yeah.
is the bars coming up from the bottom
Okay.
level. These are the bars for this level.
Yep.
And you can see they're going to stick out of the next
Okay.
level to lap with the next level.
So no welding, all just formed in
No
place.
welding. No, actually the concrete acts as its own
Bond.
kind of welding mechanism where
Okay.
it's gonna bond to this piece of bar, it's gonna
Okay.
bond to this piece of bar,
Okay.
and tie the whole thing together.
So head back to the ladders.
That's right. There's actually another ladder on
Okay.
this side, and we can come down.
Okay. And the city of San Diego, what a view. We can look out. And we're in La Jolla, California as this happens. These graduate students and future doctors? That's what they'll
Future
be?
doctors, yeah, they're gonna
gonna
start
live-
with a great view and probably end up
My
with another
gosh.
one. Huh?
This is spectacular, absolutely. So now finding our way back down to the floor, the ground level, back to terra firma, and now making a lot more sense out of everything we've been looking at. That gives us a behind-the-scenes view of really what's been going on, and now looking at a construction site, I can make a lot more sense, and I imagine so can you, on the language, the vocabulary and the techniques employed. But there's a lot more that goes on. Now, did you grow up knowing this is what you wanted to do?
I wouldn't say I grew up doing it, but I feel like I have been doing it growing up. If that makes sense.
What was your hobby as a kid? What were your interests?
It's similar to a lot of other kids, playing with a lot of Legos and constructs and different things like that. So,
what did your parents do? Or what are your parents' careers? Or dad's career?
Yeah, my parents are both not professionals. So my mom's a housewife and my dad's a dock worker. So,
really?
Yeah.
So your influence here was then your just discovery?
Yeah, it was just discovery. You know, it was a good fit when I got to college, and it's been a good fit ever since.
At what point in college did you realize structural engineer was the label you wanted?
Well, you know, I came out of high school knowing that I wanted to be an engineer, and so when I got to college, you know, I kind of explored a lot of the different engineering paths that were available. There's mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. And in fact, in college, to be any engineer, you have to take a lot of core classes that involve those. What I ended up liking best was the physics part of a lot of those engineering curriculums. So I narrowed it down to either being a mechanical or a structural engineer. And I really just like the hands-on kind of real-world applications that are involved with structural engineering. And it's great because I spend time designing structures and then I get to come out here and watch them go together.
Yeah, this is your baby.
Yeah,
this is like firing up a fresh. For me, as a car guy, this is firing up a fresh motor.
That's exactly right.
You know, you see this, when do you know this thing's done? When they break the champagne bottle, or when the city signs off on it?
I wish it's when the contractor stops asking me questions. But
okay.
They'll actually top out when they hit the top roof structure.
Okay.
And at that point, pretty much we're done.
Okay.
There'll be some miscellaneous elements that have to be done with the building, but. Already, you know, in the office, they've moved me on to another project, and we're designing new projects as we go from here.
Great. And then Ryan, how about you? Did you know this is what you wanted to do for a living?
Not at all. I always kind of grew up.
When did you discover this was your thing?
I'd have to say in college. I mean, I've always been fairly intrigued by construction and seeing big projects like this, and you know, you drive by bridges, see them under construction. It's always been very interesting to me, but going to college and taking the math and science classes, it really helped me to kind of determine that this is the path that I wanted to take. And
so it's a lot of precision. You understand that going through it.
Oh, exactly. And like what Jim was saying earlier, it's a lot of problem solving and taking the technical aspects and forming them into a practical application.
Yeah, and this is a true practical application, or pragmatic, as the college word goes, right? You know, and so as a kid, did you have any hobby or interest that relates to this?
Basically, like Casey said, playing with Legos and putting things together was always kind of intriguing.
Okay, that's great, great. All right, so the pathway to a structural engineer really ends up being a bit of discovery and a little bit of curiosity and a little bit of love for learning.
That's right.
Okay. Well, you know, for me today, just in the real world, as we talked about before we shot this video and turned the camera on, it's the idea of having an understanding. And now I do a little bit more about the structure of how you can make concrete. Did I say it? See, I'm graduating. To make concrete, do what you want it to do to optimize construction site building to make it all it can be using all the technology. Is that a fair idea?
Yeah.
So I'd love to do something like this again. In the meantime, I'm glad to be clear of all these objects over my head. And I guess I have permission to remove my hard hat and my safety goggles?
That's right, yeah, we can take them from you at this point.
Safety first and all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much. Ryan Turner, Steve Ford signing off here with you. So great to have a chance to have you pull us all together. And Casey Whitsett?
That's right.
Okay, Casey.
It's been great having you.
Hey, thank you. And from the San Diego structural engineering community, and I think for the whole world of construction contractors, this has been a great pleasure. Jim, thanks so much. Good meeting you.
Steve. It was a pleasure.
And I learned a lot, and I'm now able to say concrete instead of cement, and I can say post-tension tendons, which is a tongue twister, and I can say to you guys, you know, on behalf of all of us who are learning right here today about the world of structural engineers and construction sites, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right.